Catherine's quiet afternoon shattered when her phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Hi, Catherine. Confirming Saturday's showing at the Edward Adams property, listed at $890,000.
I never listed anything. That land was supposed to stay untouched.
She grabbed her laptop and searched the address. The Zillow page was live, full of photos she'd never approved. Parcel details. 42 acres, Bozeman, Montana. Price, $890,000. Listing agent, Brian Hartley.
Brian Hartley speaking. Are you calling about the Adams property showing?
I am Catherine Adams. I own that land through inheritance. I never authorized any sale.
Your father, Donald Adams, provided a signed power of attorney. He said you were abroad and unreachable.
The call ended. Catherine stood motionless for a full 10 seconds before the rage propelled her toward the door. Now she was driving, the Zillow listing glowing on the passenger seat, her father's betrayal burning a hole through her chest. Catherine parked in the driveway. The porch light burned, and her anger had chilled into a harder resolve.
Catherine, what's wrong? You look.
A buyer texted me about a showing. You listed my land for $890,000 without telling me.
The restaurant went under. I needed the money. I was going to fix it.
How much do you owe?
$640,000. I was drowning.
You forged a power of attorney and lied to an agent. That's fraud.
It's just a document. I would have paid you back. You have to understand.
He doesn't even see what he did. He only sees his own desperation.
Catherine walked out and drove into the dark. She gripped the wheel, the listing still on her phone, and swore she would fight to keep that land. Catherine entered the law office with a manila folder tight against her chest.
Miss Adams, you said your father forged a signature. That's a felony.
He listed my inherited land. I never agreed. The agent said he had a power of attorney.
If the signature is fake, we stop the sale now. Then we file criminal charges.
The agent sent it to me. It claims I am living abroad, unreachable.
The document read, "Power of attorney," misspelled, with a signature block for Catherine Adams.
This is amateur work. The notary is revoked. The date is wrong. We file a police report today.
He didn't even try to make it believable. He just assumed I'd never find out.
Rebecca typed the statement as Catherine recounted the phone call, the confrontation, the debt. She left with a case number, and the cold knowledge that her father had crossed a line no apology could erase. Within hours, the calls started. Her phone lit up with her father's name over and over. A voicemail. "Catherine, it's Dad. We can fix this quietly. Please, just call me." Then a knock. Sandra stood in her doorway, coat still buttoned, eyes red.
"Catherine, please. He's your father. We'd lose everything. The debt wasn't his fault."
He forged my signature. He put my land up for sale without asking. That was his choice.
We'd sell the restaurant. We'd pay you back. You are prosecuting your own family.
He listed my grandfather's land. Edward's land. There's no coming back from that. She's not sorry for what he did. She's sorry she got caught in it.
She closed the door. The lock clicked, but the silence on the other side was heavier. Her phone buzzed again. 12 missed calls. But her finger hovered over the screen, then silenced it. Catherine drove to the land before dawn. The farmhouse rose from the mist, still waiting. She walked the fields, the grass wet against her jeans, until the anger softened into something steadier.
Granddad never let anyone push him off this dirt. Neither will I.
Inside, she knelt by the old dresser. Dust swirled in the slant of morning light. A yellowed envelope slid forward, her grandfather's handwriting across the front. "Catherine, if you are reading this, the land is yours. Don't let anyone tell you what it's worth."
She pressed it to her chest and said aloud, "I won't, Granddad. I swear it."
That afternoon, Brian found her at a coffee shop. He set a cup in front of her without asking.
The email looked fake, so I searched you. My grandfather left me land too. You are not alone.
Catherine met his eyes. And for the first time since that text, the weight on her chest shifted, not gone, but shared. Catherine returned to her apartment and opened her laptop, her grandfather's note still pressed in her pocket. She searched public records. The restaurant had folded with exactly $640,000 in debt, just as Donald had said.
But a debt doesn't forge a signature. That was a separate decision.
She opened the power of attorney file. The metadata showed it was built from a free Word template, 2 days before the listing. The file properties read, author, Donald Adams. Created, Thursday, 9:47 p.m.
He made this at his kitchen table, printed it, and handed it to an agent like it was nothing.
She dug into the restaurant's liabilities. It wasn't a single bank loan. It was a web of personal guarantees, unpaid taxes, and supplier liens. A local news photo surfaced. Donald and Sandra grinning at the grand opening, a champagne bottle in his hand.
That man in the photo would later sit in his living room and lie to me about a power of attorney.
She saved every file into a folder labeled Evidence and closed the laptop. The weight of what came next settled in the dark. By morning, her phone lit up with numbers she hadn't seen in years. Relatives, neighbors, people who'd never called before. A voicemail from her uncle. Drop this, Catherine. You are tearing the family apart over a piece of dirt.
Dirt. 42 acres my grandfather worked his whole life, and they call it dirt.
Sandra texted, please meet me. There's more to the restaurant debt than you know. Donald's not the only one who made mistakes.
She's not offering the truth. She's offering a distraction.
Then another message. Hey, don't answer them. Just know someone's in your corner. Brian.
A stranger who spotted a fraud is the only one not asking me to forgive a felon.
She typed back 2 words. Thank you. She set the phone face down and looked out at the morning. The calls kept coming, but they were farther away now.
Let them call. I have the truth, and I have someone who remembered what it was worth to text me.
The law office felt smaller. Catherine placed the evidence folder on the desk, its weight heavier than paper.
The metadata ties him to the forgery. It's a solid case. The DA will press charges.
If this goes to trial, what's the worst he could get?
Forgery and fraud are felonies. He could face up to 5 years in state prison.
She pictured her father in an orange jumpsuit, the image lodged in her throat.
We can negotiate a plea. Probation, if you want to avoid that.
He didn't give me a soft way out when he listed the land. I am not giving him one. This is the man who taught me to ride a bike. How do I live with sending him to prison?
Rebecca slid the complaint across the desk. One signature would start it all. She signed without hesitation. The scratch of the pen was the loudest sound in the room. That evening, Catherine pulled into his driveway again. This time, the porch light was off.
Catherine, I got the notice. We need to talk. I'll take down the listing. I'll find a way to pay the debt, half of it at least. Just drop the charges.
He's negotiating a crime like a business deal. He hasn't said he's sorry. Number, you forged a legal document. I am not dropping anything. The land stays mine.
You'd destroy your own father over a few acres. The family will never forgive you.
The family already chose sides. I am choosing the truth.
Then you are no daughter of mine. Get out.
Catherine turned and walked out. The door clicked shut, and she didn't look back. She drove home knowing the only bridge left had been burned by his own hand. The next morning, Rebecca called her back to the office. A sealed case file waited on the desk.
Your father's not a first-time offender. 8 years ago, he forged a document to claim his aunt's estate.
Aunt Margaret's inheritance. He told us she changed her will at the last minute.
The old file described a forged will, a contested property, and a quiet payout to avoid charges.
He got away with it once, so he tried it on me.
The DA knows. It strengthens the case. He's not a desperate father. He's a repeat fraudster.
I remembered him crying at Aunt Margaret's funeral. Now I know it was an act.
She stared at the scanned court record. The signature blocks looked exactly like the one he'd used for her.
He's been rehearsing this betrayal for years. I was just next.
She closed the file and felt something shift. The guilt was gone. In its place was a clarity that burned. Catherine returned with the old case file. Rebecca read it in silence, then opened a new folder.
We can amend the complaint. Add the prior forgery as evidence of pattern.
Do it. I want both counts to stand together.
She signed the amendment. The ink dried while Rebecca called the DA's office. By evening, the news reached Donald. His phone buzzed with a notification from the DA.
She actually did it. She's going to put me in prison.
Sandra found him on the couch, staring at the screen. His face was gray.
What have you done? The DA just called my sister. Everyone knows.
Catherine's phone lit up with a dozen texts from relatives who had just learned the extent of the charges.
They can't shame me anymore. The truth is in motion.
Donald was throwing clothes into a suitcase, his hands trembling so badly he kept dropping things.
What are you doing? You can't just run. The police will be here any minute.
I am not running, I just need to think. I can still fix this.
Fix it. You forged documents. You lied to me, to your own daughter. There's no fixing this.
She knows. The one person who always believed me.
He dropped the suitcase. Clothes spilled across the linoleum, but neither of them looked down.
I can't do this anymore. You've lied about the debt, about the forgery, about everything. I am filing.
She pulled divorce papers from a kitchen drawer, already signed, and set them on the counter.
Sandra, don't. I'll fix it. I always fix it.
But she was already walking out of the room. The house fell into a terrible silence. The next afternoon, Catherine sat with Brian in the same coffee shop. The city felt heavier now.
You should tell your side. Not for revenge, but so no one else can be tricked.
Going public means it's real forever. No taking it back.
She gave a brief statement to a local journalist, Brian sitting beside her as a witness. The local paper ran the headline, "Daughter alleges forgery. Family land listed without consent." Within hours, the article spread. Anonymous comments piled up, some calling her brave, others ruthless.
Half the town thinks I am a hero. The other half thinks I am a monster.
Donald's phone went dead. Business associates he'd known for years stopped returning calls.
They're all reading it. The whole town knows.
Catherine watched the fallout, but her focus remained on the court date. The public had its say, but the judge would have the final word. 2 days later, a patrol car pulled into Donald's driveway. No sirens, just the dark shape of a cruiser at dusk. Donald opened the door in his polo shirt. The officer read the warrant, his voice flat.
This is it. The moment I lost everything.
Catherine watched from her apartment, a live stream of the arrest on her phone. Her face gave nothing away. Hours later, she sat in a sterile police interview room to give her formal statement.
I confirm that I never signed any power of attorney. The document is a forgery.
Donald was processed and placed in a holding cell. He stared at the concrete wall and finally fell silent. Sandra returned that week. She packed her belongings in silence and left the signed divorce papers on the kitchen counter.
The house is empty. The marriage is gone, but the land is still mine.
She closed her laptop. The case was now in the hands of the court. Catherine walked into the county courthouse for the pretrial hearing, her heels echoing on marble. Donald was led in from a side door, cuffs removed but wearing an orange jumpsuit that made him look smaller.
He looks like a stranger, not the father I knew.
He glanced at her and his jaw tightened, before dropping his gaze.
The hearing was procedural. His attorney entered a not guilty plea, but the DA cited the prior forgery.
I can't let pity derail this. He chose this path.
That afternoon, Sandra filed the divorce petition, citing financial deception. The clerk stamped it without ceremony.
Now, it's official. No family left to save.
Catherine walked out into the pale afternoon light, feeling the weight settle into something like exhaustion. The judge set a trial date 6 weeks out. The machine was in motion. Outside the courthouse, Sandra waited on the stone steps. Her face was hard, but her hands trembled.
You destroyed my marriage. You destroyed your father. Are you proud of that?
Number. But what he did deserves consequences. You know that deep down.
He made one mistake. One. He was cornered. You could have let it go.
It wasn't one mistake. It was a pattern. And letting it go would have betrayed my grandfather.
Brian stepped up beside her, not saying a word, just standing solid. Sandra looked at him, then back at Catherine, and a bitter laugh escaped before she walked away.
She needed someone to blame. I was the easiest target.
You handled that well. She's not your enemy, she's just lost.
They walked down the remaining steps together. The trial was still ahead, but her footing felt steadier. The trial opened with the prosecutor holding up the forged power of attorney, its errors stark under the courtroom light.
The defendant's signature appears on this document, but my client, Catherine Adams, has testified she never signed it.
Catherine took the stand, her voice steady as she described the land her grandfather left her.
My grandfather built that land with his hands. He wrote me a note saying it was mine, and I swore I'd protect it. This is for you, Granddad. They'll never touch it.
Donald's attorney cross-examined weakly, unable to shake the metadata or the previous forgery.
She's going to bury me with her grandfather's ghost.
In closing arguments, the DA emphasized the pattern. A forged will 8 years ago, a forged power of attorney today.
Please see him for what he is. Don't let him walk away again.
The jury retired to deliberate. The courtroom emptied into a tense silence. The courtroom stirred as the jury filed back in, their faces drained of all emotion. The foreman handed the folded verdict to the bailiff, who unfolded it with deliberate slowness. Guilty of forgery in the 2nd degree. Guilty of attempted real estate fraud. Catherine closed her eyes. The words settled in her chest like a cold stone. Donald's shoulders sagged. His attorney's hand on his arm went unnoticed. The judge sentenced him to 9 months, a $14,000 fine, and a permanent fiduciary bar.
9 months. He'll never hold another family's trust in his hands again.
The bailiff clicked the cuffs shut. Donald's eyes flicked to hers, empty, then gone. At his house, the rooms were hollow shells. Boxes stood where life had once been. She walked out of the courthouse, and for the first time since that text, the weight on her chest began to let go. The next morning, her phone pinged with an email. The Zillow listing for the Adams property was officially removed.
It's really over. The land is mine again.
She drove out to the land one last time. The gate was unlocked, the key in her pocket still heavy. She walked the fence line, the grass golden and still. No real estate signs, no strangers.
This is what he meant. Not the price, the quiet.
She stopped at the ridge where her grandfather had built his fence post by post.
I kept my word, Granddad. They tried to take it. They failed.
A tear slid down her cheek, but she didn't wipe it. It felt earned, not broken. She sat on the farmhouse porch as the sun set, the key pressed into her palm, and listened to the land breathe. The Zillow listing was gone. The land would stay untouched, as it always should have been. The morning after her last walk on the land, Catherine found a cream envelope in her mailbox. The message inside was short. My grandfather left me land too. I'd have wanted someone to text me. Brian.
He texted me first. Without that, I might never have known.
She held the note for a long moment, then set it down with a quiet decision. She sat at her kitchen table, a blank card before her, and wrote her thanks.
The words came easily. For the text that started everything. Thank you.
She folded the card, slipped it under the ribbon on the bourbon bottle.
It wasn't just bourbon. It was the only reply that made sense.
She placed it in a bag, ready to send, and felt a lightness she hadn't expected. She stepped back. The gift was ready. The only thing left was to send it. Brian sat at his desk and found a package wrapped in brown paper. Inside was a bottle of aged bourbon and a small card tucked beneath the ribbon. The card read, "For the text that started everything. Thank you, Catherine."
She sent bourbon. She couldn't have known. That's what my grandfather and I drank on his porch.
He typed a reply without thinking, his thumb steady on the screen. "I'll drink this to your grandfather, and to mine, Brian." Catherine's phone buzzed. She read the line twice, a slow smile breaking.
Two strangers who never met, yet he understood completely.
She didn't reply. The silence held more than another text could, and on his desk, the bourbon stood unopened, a small card beside it, carrying the whole weight of what had passed. Catherine returned to the land one last time as the sun sank low. She walked the ridge slowly, the grass brushing her palms, the silence full.
Everything he built is still here. Nothing was taken.
She reached the old fence post her grandfather had set by hand decades ago.
He'd be proud. I didn't let them sell it.
She slipped the antique key from her pocket and turned it over in her palm. Then she pressed it to the wood of the porch rail, a quiet gesture of promise kept. The sky shifted from gold to rose, and she looked out over the acres that would never be for sale. A small smile settled on her face, the kind that comes after a long fight when you realize you've won. And as the sun slipped below the ridge, the land stayed exactly as it was, untouched.